Well, I don't want to just this. Things keep right top. Boy, this lesson 159, the next lesson here is really great. But we won't do that now. So what's happening here now to you? A revision. A new emergence of mind. Brought about by what? The revelatory experience of you that then changes the manner in which you see. You stop attempting to change yourself in the thought form and let the revelation of your mind, which is real thinking. Any thinking that is not revelatory is not real. All mind does is create. What I'm offering you, and some of you will really experience this, the breadth of your creative capacities will be very much expanded by this energy. You'll begin to paint, perhaps, sing, begin to dance. You'll discover that there's a lot of things in your mind that you can do, of course. The limitations that you have placed on yourself are extraordinary. This new vision that you have yourself is the genius of your whole mind creating in the new perception of identity of yourself. All things about you. That's why thinking is revelatory. Anything that any mind can do, you can do. Do the circuits of genius overload? Sure, they can't stand the passion of their own creative necessity. They kill themselves, they cut off their ears, they die young. Why? Because this need to create has become so intense in one particular field of their genetic association, they literally can't stand it. They have a vision without the capacity to express it fully. Okay? That's why you kill yourself. I am giving you the capacity through the reassociation of your mind to create. This is what you call liberal art. This is the highest form of mind thinking. Man has slipped pretty much into linear time. He's into a lot of thought form, and one of the reasons we're wrapping up this association is the necessity for you to go vertically rather than horizontally now in your thought forms. That's what we're bringing about in you. We'll be wrapping this one up real quick. We're not going to nurture the shallow roots. There's no reason for us to keep spreading computer associations. Okay? That will just prolong the time, won't it? We're going to take you out of here. If you'd like to go, stay here. This is lovely stuff. I'm reading you the workbook, right out of the workbook, out of a mind, out of time. This is a very careful plan that was put together by you for your salvation. Did you know that? Who did you think did this? The 12 of us that found the solution. What is the last judgment? The last judgment will be done by my brothers and I, as Jesus says. The 12 of us, which are all of the consciousness associations, will sit in judgment of ourselves and find ourselves innocent. Is that what you're doing now? Sure. Is this the last judgment? Yep. Is this really over and gone? Yeah. Boy, there's a lot of energy in here, guys. Well, we have to do this last lesson before we... You see, you're kicking this up here. Boy, is it hot in here. In the Eastern tradition, that's called turpo. Earth, air, fire, and water. When you guys crank up your energy, you're generating a lot of heat. That's called passion, but you need the passion in association with the earth, which is thought. Earthiness is thought. Air is breath or spirit, isn't it? Earth, air. Fire is your passion, your red ray association. And water is the elixir of light generated from your reproductive associations that are causing you to flow freely to God. There's a lovely comparisons for you. Is the awakening physical? Sure. This Christ child has been born in you, hasn't he? In the Course where Jesus says you nurture this little nomad, this little baby that's born in you, because he has to cross, in the lunar cycle, he has to cross from Bethlehem, right, which is your association, to Jerusalem, which is your crown, which is your head, which is your crown chakra. So that germ has to get past the Pharaoh, which is the desert, which is this reign. The Pharaoh obviously will attempt to kill him because this is your human associations in here. You protect him in the Passover, or the parting of the Red Sea, which is the Passion, so that you can come from the wilderness up into Jerusalem, where you can what? Undergo in Golgotha, okay, which is the place of the skull, all right, your apparent crucifixion and resurrection. That's what's occurring in your body. These are lovely esoteric teachings of the Passion of Jesus Christ. You meet now in the upper room and are joining together to bring this about. Isn't that lovely? Happy Easter. That being said, we have one more lesson to do here, and it is, wow, it is. See how this connects. Lesson 184. The name of God is my inheritance. The name of God is my inheritance. Isn't that a strange idea? There's a warehouse of love waiting for you that is your name. I'm going to try name for you just for a second. Okay, since you have named yourself, you must have one perfect name. In that regard, you're absolutely and totally unique. That's why the place in heaven at the gate has been prepared precisely for you, because you're bringing together all of your own memories of yourself into that perfect image of Christhood, aren't you? Okay, so you are named by God in that moment of disillusionment to the wholeness of you. That's who you are. That's completely individual, isn't it? Yeah. Jesus in the Course says that has been carefully prepared for you and awaits you as the totalness of you. You live by symbols. You've made up names for everything you see. Each one becomes a separate entity. Isn't that interesting? He calls it an entity. Identified by its own name. By this you carve it out of unity. Adam named the animals and carved them out of unity. Obviously, the second you named anything, you'd have to go on naming forever. Do you see that? If you name something separate, you're caught forever in naming something else. Wow. What a thing to do. By this you carve it out of unity. By this you designate its special attributes and set it off from other things by emphasizing space surrounding it. This space you lay between all things to which you give a different name, all happenings in terms of place and time, all bodies which are greeted by a name. This space you see as setting off all things from one another is the means by which the world's perception is achieved. It's the distance between you and the objects that you've projected from your own mind. Holy mackerel. You see something where nothing is, and see as well nothing where there is unity. Because once you see unity, you'll see it as whole. You see something where it literally isn't. You project your own thought form out from you and make it a whole body outside of you. It's actually not there. It's only in your memory. And you keep changing your own memory about it each moment and attempt to identify it in your own projected association. Wow. Is that something? A space between all things and you. Thus do you think that you've given life in separation. By this split, you think you are established as a unity which functions with an independent will. This is the definition of a human being, a miscreator. Do you have the power in your mind to do this? That's exactly what you're doing right now. You're creating this condition of illusions by the projections of your own mind. Holy mackerel. What are these names by which the world becomes a series of discrete events, of things, what? Ununified, of bodies kept apart and holding bits of mind as separate awarenesses. You give them names. You give names to them, establishing perception as you wish to have perception be. The nameless things were given names, and thus reality was given them as well, because if you name it, you make it real in your mind. For what is named is given meaning and will then be seen as meaningful. Come on. A cause of apparent true effect with consequences inherent in itself. You literally let the thought form out there be responsible for you. Boy, is that crazy. Why? You've named it separately from you. Do you see that? You've given it a name and let it act on its own. Boy, is that crazy. Huh? That was all only in your own mind, wasn't it? This is the way reality is made by partial vision, purposely set against the given truth. Now, its enemy is wholeness. It conceives of little things and looks upon them. Ready? And a lack of space, a sense of unity or vision that sees differently, becomes the threats which it must overcome, conflict with,